A new era has officially begun at Borussia Dortmund. Marco Reus has already left for Major League Soccer, and former Dortmund player Nuri Sahin has stepped in for Edin Terzic as the new manager. I've personally questioned some of their tactical experiments, such as Sahin's decision to play Schlotterbeck as center back at left back, and Sabitzer, who hasn't played on the right wing in years since his Leipzig days, has featured there a few times this season. The last few transfer windows have been busy for Dortmund, and this summer was no exception. You saw a lot of arrivals for players that were in form from other Bundesliga clubs, but these departures also hit hard, with a few first-team players leaving the squad. I'm going to disable the first transfer window to truly assess the current squad, and also use the board's objectives as an inspiration for some storylines, but making sure that we're not going to get sacked because of these board objectives. Dortmund's academy has always produced stars, and we've got our eyes on a potential one, Vincent Schmidt, a 15-year-old right midfielder with 68 to 94 potential. While I haven't seen dramatic changes with the fast youth development setting, we're going to keep it enabled and see how he progresses. We'll build up our world-class scouting network, starting with a 5-star scout in Germany, looking for a unique player similar to none other than Mario Götze, the FIFA 13 Wonder Kid and 2014 World Cup winning goal scorer. Next up, our US scouting mission is underway, led by Arthur Bergman, to find an inside forward just like Christian Pulisic, who started his career at Dortmund before transferring to Chelsea. He's currently excelling at Milan, where he just won Serie A Player of the Month. Lastly, we'll send a scout to England to search for a winger, aimed to find the next Jadon Sancho, whose Dortmund days were vital for his development, and who even returned on a brief loan spell last season. We're making moves behind the scenes, but let's see how we actually fare when it comes to results. Some preseason tournament action, and we were in pretty good form heading to our first Bundesliga fixture against Frankfurt. Here's how our squad will line up. We do have one question mark with Ryerson. I know he just signed a new contract extension with Dortmund. However, in this save, he's not in great form, so he may be a player we look to replace in the starting 11. A disappointing 2-2 draw to kick off our Bundesliga campaign, and I'm going to simulate through these first few months up until the January transfer window, when we can take a look at our league standings. We're sitting just outside of those Champions League qualification spots. We are still in competition for the DFB-Pokal, and in the Champions League, obviously we've got a new format this season, so the top 8 teams are automatically going to qualify for the knockout stages. We'll finish in the 9th place spot, which is crucial because any teams that finish between 9th and 24th will compete in a playoff to determine the remaining knockout stage teams. It did not take us long to make some changes to this starting 11. On first glance, it's our fullbacks that'll see some changes. Jan Couto, currently on loan at Dortmund from Manchester City, is by default a right midfielder, but he has right back as a secondary position. And although it's going to take him several months to complete that change, I think he can be a strong attacking fullback option for us. Mensabani, who joined the club from Borussia Mönchengladbach a few seasons ago, picked up an injury. Although he's going to be back in action fairly soon, I'm not sure he has that quality to be a long-time left back for us. My first instinct was to sign Miguel Gutierrez, who actually played with Jan Couto while at Girona. Apparently he was too important to the club, so I wasn't able to complete that transfer. So second option is going to be a young left back in Milos Kerkez. The Hungarian is known for his pace, versatility, and attacking contributions. After starting his career in Hungary, he moved to AC Milan in 2021, but gained prominence with AZ Alkmaar in the Netherlands. At AZ, Kerkez became a standout, impressing with his aggressive forward runs and defensive strength, helping the team reach the UEFA Conference League semi-finals. He's recently joined Bournemouth, where he continues to grow as a dynamic fullback, and also appearing at the international level. I think it's only a matter of time before he takes the step up to a bigger club. This was a 25 million deal, honestly not bad considering he's got that exciting prospect potential. This is how the squad will continue as we progress to the second half of season 1. You can see one of those new morale changes with Kobel becoming a little bit complacent. But hopping into the playoff rounds of the Champions League, we've got Lille as our matchup. We win the first leg 2-0, the second leg ends in a 3-2 draw, so we'll advance 5-2 on aggregate into the round of 16 against last year's Champions League final opponent, Real Madrid. It was a clutch goal by Sabitzer in the 83rd minute, to keep things level as we head to the away leg. This is the Real Madrid starting lineup. They are in impeccable form, undefeated in their last 5, and no doubt the best starting 11 in FC 25. Anytime we'll face Real Madrid in this save, the big storyline is the return of Jude Bellingham. Obviously, he rose to stardom with Borussia Dortmund, and he is continuing to flourish into one of the world's best players and arguably the best midfielder in the world. Anyways, we're going to start off this action with some good play from Adeyemi, who did pick up a hat-trick in that big Champions League victory against Celtic. He was crucial in that build-up to the goal from Daniel Malen. We're going to take the lead on aggregate 2-1. Still a lot of time left in this match, but this is how you want to answer in an away leg. You want to silence the home fans and try to keep things interesting. Good save from Kobel there to deny the Real Madrid attack. They're going to continue mounting that pressure. Vinny finds Bellingham over to Mbappe. Another save from Kobel. Into the second half now, and it is going to be Mbappe with the long-range effort. You just cannot give him any space. One of the world's best strikers is going to slot that into the far corner on his left foot. It's Luka Modric who's featuring off the bench and kind of serving as that coach role or player coach role from the sidelines. We have a chance here at the end to try to get the late winner, but that was denied, so we're going to go into extra time. An interesting decision by Ancelotti to take off Mbappe and bring on Endrick, but I think it paid off because very similar to Mbappe's goal, this one on Endrick's left foot is going to find the far corner, and that would put Real Madrid ahead by a goal. One thing that might go unnoticed by some is how involved Bellingham was in the build-up to each of these goals. Endrick is going to fire home a second to give Madrid the 2-goal lead, pretty much ensuring their results. So disappointing to see an early Champions League exit. It was a tough draw, to be fair, against last year's winners, and we'll just have to push forward from here. That loss in the Champions League seemed to hinder our form as we push forward from March into April, recovering a little bit all the way to the end of May, where we've got a DFB-Pokal matchup against Bayern. This, of course, will be the final, which is also going to be our final match of the season. League-wise, we managed to sneak in there at that 4th place spot. I'll take that in what I would consider to be a rebuilding year. It's great news for Harry Kane as he finally picks up a trophy with Bayern in his 2nd season there. Mid-table, it's going to be Heidenheim who will compete in the relegation playoff, and Bochum and Holstein Kiel will see the relegation to Bundesliga 2. For Bundesliga 2, it's Hertha Berlin and Köln that will see their return to the top flight, and Heidenheim end up winning the relegation playoff 3-2 on aggregate. It was a big result in the second leg. We'll also follow Schalke in this rebuild. They saw a 9th place finish, so if we want to see a matchup against them, it might have to come in the League Cup. Anyways, this is the Bayern starting 11. They're also in great form and have a strong selection of players. This is one of our biggest rivalries, and it would be great to finish the season by lifting a trophy. One thing we've got going for us is that this match will be played at a neutral ground, so we don't need to travel to the Allianz Arena for this one. I think it's also going to be interesting for a lot of our players. Plenty of ex-Bayern talents at Dortmund. I'm not sure if Bayern have any ex-Dortmund players currently at the club. Might be the case, but that's historically how it's been the last few years in the Bundesliga, which is pretty fascinating to me considering you've got the 2 top teams in the league making transfers between each other. But it's going to be our new signing, Girassi, who opens up the scoring, 2nd in Bundesliga top goal scorers last season, only to Harry Kane. He was in fantastic form for Stuttgart, and that was a huge signing from Dortmund to bring him in as at least a top striker for the next few seasons. But Bino Gittins finding Girassi on his left foot is going to get denied by the woodwork, but we still managed the 1-0 victory, a huge result for us to close out this season, and giving a lot of hope for some of those traveling fans. We've got plenty of talent at Dortmund to rebuild in future years, and I think we can challenge for the Bundesliga and even looking towards the Champions League. It's a competition I have aspirations for, but Emre Can lifting up the Pokal as club captain, and hopefully this won't be the only trophy he'll be lifting in this rebuild. We'll recap some of the other results. Real Madrid starting the season with the victory in the UEFA Super Cup. Barcelona winning an El Clasico final against Madrid, with Spurs lifting the Europa League title with a penalty kick victory against Fenerbahce. An upset in the Conference League as Brøndby were victorious against Chelsea. But interestingly enough, it was Maximilian Bayer who was the top goal scorer for us this season. Must have racked up a lot of appearances in the simulated fixtures. He'll place 5th in Bundesliga top goal scorers with Victor Boniface getting the Golden Boot award. Unfortunately, outside of Bayer, no appearances from us in the top 10. On the assists front, it's Pascal Gross who put up 14 assists from 47 appearances. Really impressive stuff from him, and I think he can be an underrated signing for Dortmund this season. He ranked as the 3rd most assists in the Bundesliga, with Johannes Eggestein leading the way. We also had Julian Brandt make it to the top 10 with 6 assists from 28 appearances. Of course, Kobel is one of the Bundesliga's best goalkeepers. It's cool to see these Bundesliga Player of the Season awards, and it is Boniface that gets the award as Golden Boot winner. As we reach the end of the season, we're going to bring in Jan Couto on a permanent basis. I'm not sure if this is something that the club can do in real life, but it's definitely something that I'd like to do in this save, as he was crucial for us at that right back spot and adds some Brazilian flair to a club that has historically had a good amount of Brazilian players. We had some notable talents on loan this season, so I wanted to give you an update on their status. I'm still really disappointed you can't see a player's overall growth throughout the course of the year anymore. Hoping that's rolled out in a future update, but it is what it is for the time being. On the youth academy front, we managed to find Sven Schneider as Mario Götze's regen. The center attacking mid has 76 to 90 potential. On the US front, it's Christian Vord, who shares the same name as Christian Pulisic. The right winger has 72 to 94 potential. Sebastian Bishop is our talent from England. The left winger has 86 to 94 potential. I'm feeling some optimism for season 2. We've had a full year for this new squad to play matches together. Some might think it's controversial that I'm starting a 79 rated Pascal Gross, but you can't just bench the Bundesliga assist leader. It's clear that the board is looking for us to achieve big results. We need to win the Pokal, win the league, and reach the final of the Champions League. But we do have over 100 million in our transfer budget to help make that happen. I'm actually going to start off with some outgoing transfers, as I think there are a few upcoming for Dortmund. Youssoufa Moukoko is the big one. I'm not sure if he's ever going to get his chance and play time at Dortmund, and if an offer like this ever comes in for Chelsea, I think Dortmund have to take it, regardless of how much potential he may have. It just seems like Dortmund has never been short of striker options, which makes it hard for Moukoko to break through. We're going to get just short of 30 million for that transfer as Moukoko heads to London and Stamford Bridge. Another outgoing striker was Sebastian Aller, now into his early 30s. He's going to make his return to the Premier League as he joins up with Brighton. It was a costly injury for Ben Sebaini, losing his place in the starting 11, so he's also off to the Prem as he joins Newcastle. And a pretty realistic transfer here for Salih Özcan. The Turkish player is going to make the move to the Super League and link up with Jose Mourinho at Fenerbahce. Speaking of Turkish talents, I was considering signing Ferdi Çadioglu, who was linked with Dortmund in the most recent transfer window. He ended up joining Brighton, so I'm going to let him stay there for a bit longer and improve our squad depth at left back now that Miguel Gutierrez is available and the club is willing to negotiate the transfer with us. The talented Spanish left back started his career with Real Madrid's youth academy, where he showcased his skills in both attack and defense. He made his first team debut for Madrid in 2021 before moving to Girona in 2022 to secure more playtime. He's become a key player there, known for his versatility, excellent dribbling, precise crossing, and solid defensive abilities. He's the definition of a modern fullback, and he's going to give us options on both the left and right flank. 40 million is right on the borderline of what Dortmund would be willing to spend. They usually don't splash out too much cash on transfers, but I'm willing to make this happen just slightly above his market valuation. Now, I don't think it would be a Dortmund career mode if we didn't sign some exceptional players from other Bundesliga clubs, and Hugo Larsson is definitely the definition of that. The Swedish midfielder is known for his technical ability and composure, having started his career at Malmo, debuting as a 17-year-old. he quickly gained attention as a top young talent. He made the transfer to Eintracht Frankfurt in 2023, and I think the development of playing in a more competitive league has been good for him. There are actually some transfer rumors that Dortmund are going to go in for his signature. We managed to sign him for 30 million, which again is slightly above his market valuation, but he's showing great potential, and I love this for a storyline transfer. I made it an effort to try to sign at least one Turkish player in this save, and of course I had to go for one of the highest potential talents, with Semih Kılıçsoy, who's been deemed the Turkish Aguero. One interesting thing about him is that he has a very low release clause, so he actually transferred to Real Madrid in this save, which isn't the most unrealistic thing, but he was available on a transfer, so I'm going to make that happen for Dortmund. Currently featuring for Besiktas in real life, Kılıçsoy has rose through the club's youth academy and made his senior debut in the 22-23 season. He's known for his technical skills, finishing and versatility in attack, comfortable playing as both a central striker and out wide. He's one of Turkey's brightest prospects, having featured at youth levels, and I think he's going to be a key player for Besiktas this season before he probably makes a transfer away and the Turkish national team. Something about this transfer kind of gives me Jude Bellingham vibes. Kılıçsoy is still a young player, so who knows if he can actually reach that potential, but the gamble is worth it, especially for just 20 million. He's got that exciting prospect status, and he'll be a good rotational attacker for us. Some updates on the youth academy front. This season, we're going to search for a defender kind of resembling Antonio Rudiger, who spent some time with Dortmund early in his career as part of their youth academy. Next up is going to be a Polish right back. That, of course, is going to resemble Łukasz Piszczek, who was a longtime Dortmund player, recently played in a testimonial at the club. And finally, we're going to search for an advanced forward from Gabon. It's going to resemble Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who during his time at Dortmund absolutely was a clinical goal scorer, even winning the Golden Boot Award during a time when Robert Lewandowski was firing home a lot of goals for Bayern. It's the German Super Cup to kick off our season. Bayern won the league last year, we won the Pokal, so we'll play against each other. And here's how our current starting 11 fares. Anton is going to start at right center back due to an injured Sula, and I'm optioning to start Kerkez to begin with because he's had more time with this club. But we managed to win this one 2-1, goals coming from Kerkez, so that decision paid off, and Pascal Gross. Moving forward 2 weeks later, we have the start of the Bundesliga season, and this time we do manage to win our match. Emre Can missing a penalty, but that didn't stop us. 4-1 against Union Berlin, and an undefeated month of August. Heading through September, we continue our winning ways, and up until October, we start to drop some points against Mainz, but as a whole, we had a much stronger first half of the season than we did last year. That'll bring us into the January transfer window where we sit top of the Bundesliga standings, 4 points clear of RB Leipzig and Bayern. Still in the Pokal, where we'll face Leverkusen in the quarterfinals. And in the Champions League, somewhat struggling. I think we got a good amount of draws, which puts us in the 18th place spot. It's still enough for us to compete in the playoffs, but I'm surprised that 2 seasons in, we haven't automatically qualified for the knockout stages. Starting 11-wise, not too many changes. Sabitzer is going to feature instead of Pascal Gross in the midfield, just due to ratings and Gross continuing to get older, but our playoff round matchup is going to be against Porto, and this is where I'll start to feature some players at our opponent club. Samu is one of the highest potential strikers in career mode, at least those that are still 21 years or younger, but we managed to win our match 3-1 against them, and in the second leg it was 2-1. Even with Gyasi missing a penalty. 5-2 on aggregate means that we'll play against Juventus in the round of 16. Another tough matchup in the early knockout stages, but a player that we're very familiar with from his Bayern and Leipzig days. It's Dayot Upamecano, who's up to an 85 rating. Rovella gave Juventus the early lead as we head into the second leg. Here's how this Juventus squad lines up. They've made an interesting choice at goalkeeper with Price Samba, making the transfer away and replacing Wojciech Szczesny. Emre Can has actually spent some time at Juventus. If you look at his career trajectory, he's played for a lot of top clubs, so I think he's going to know our opponents very well. I'm excited to get into this though. I think this Dortmund squad is ready to come out and play strong. They did against Real Madrid last season. We were unfortunate not to advance in the round of 16 that time. We're going to try again here. Bryce Samba with an early stop to deny our effort, but it's Emre Can with the long-range shot who will give us the equalizer goal on aggregate before the halftime break. It had to be him, and Sahin was pumped about that. His decision to feature him in the midfield and continue being the captain here at Dortmund truly paid off. But that header from Juventus denied by the woodwork. We nearly follow up in the 74th minute with a goal from Adeyemi, but this one is going to be level after regulation and extra time, meaning that we're going to go into penalties. Never know how this one is going to end, but this is how our penalty kick takers will line up. I don't mind being the second team to take the penalty kicks. I feel like with a goalkeeper like Kobel, you rate his chances of making a few stops, so we can put that early pressure on Juventus if we can go ahead and convert our chances. Unfortunately, we miss our second penalty, so we're going to be playing from behind, hope that we can pull off some saves. We'll do that with the fourth penalty kick taker, so now we're level 3 for each of us, and it's going to be a decider one for Maximilian Bayer. Last season's top goal scorer for us is going to miss his pen, and it ends up being Bryce Samba, who is a crucial player for Juventus. I would have never have expected that transfer in career mode, but I think that's what the game mode is all about. Once again, that loss in the Champions League seemed to impact our form as we dropped some Bundesliga points. That brings us to a match against Bayern at home, and it's going to be a crucial one. A win would leapfrog us ahead of them in the standings. It's going to hold more importance because we saw elimination in the semifinals of the DFB-Pokal. Here's how Bayern line up. A stamina issue for Elise down the right side, but the fact that they have brought in Arda Güler from Real Madrid and he's featuring off the bench is absolutely ridiculous. But we'll get into these highlights. Playing this match at the Signal Iduna Park, which I absolutely love. It's a dream to go see a match there one day, and maybe the next time I travel over to Germany, I'll try to fit that in. But opening goal from Nico Schlotterbeck in the 29th minute. Set pieces seem to be pretty effective in FC 25. Obviously, I'm not playing these matches. I'm just watching them get simulated in real time. But even from those, you can see a player like Schlotterbeck able to convert the chance. But in the 82nd minute, it's Rabiot who seems to dribble by our entire defense, not even going at a quick pace. He just casually dribbles by, and this match will end level. A 1-1 draw is not what we were hoping for because we're still chasing Bayern on the points front. And I think as each player walked off the pitch that day, they knew that our Bundesliga hopes were probably over. We'll close out April with a win against Union Berlin, but that draw against Mainz to start May definitely secured our fate. We finished second in the league standings, 4 points behind Bayern. Leipzig and Stuttgart will round out the Champions League spots. It's Hertha Berlin that'll compete in the relegation playoff this season, with Augsburg and St. Pauli getting relegated to Bundesliga 2. As for the second division, Düsseldorf and Bochum seeing promotion to the Bundesliga, and Hannover defeat Hertha Berlin to also secure their promotion. We lost to Werder Bremen in the semifinals of the Pokal, and they lost to Leipzig in the final. The Super Cup saw us beat Bayern 2-1, and Barca get the win against Spurs in the UEFA Super Cup. Champions League going to Juventus, so at least we lost to the team that ended up winning the entire competition. Manchester United defeating Marseille in the Europa League final, and Hoffenheim bringing home a Conference League victory against Monaco. Again, a surprising player to lead the club in goals. It's Malen from right mid, who scored 21 from 51 appearances. Dennis Undav taking home the Bundesliga top goal scorer, Malen featuring at that 6th place spot. Julian Brandt absolutely had a superb season, 15 goals and 12 assists. That led the club, and also ranked as the second most in the Bundesliga, only behind Jonas Hoffmann from Leverkusen. Unfortunately, we didn't have any players besides Brandt to make it into the top 10. This season though, Kobel led the league in clean sheets, so it was amazing to see him excel between the sticks for us. Harry Kane actually won the Bundesliga Player of the Tournament award. I think that was probably because Bayern won the league, but to be fair, Kane ranked in the top 5 of both goals and assists. An early finding that I've found in career mode this year is that it's still much more effective to loan out your young players than keep them at the club. Duranville saw a huge jump up in his rating to 75. Cole Campbell up to the lower 70s during a Michelin loan spell. Marcel Lotka up to a 74 rating while at Lazio. A couple of these youth academy players are developing. Sven Schneider up to a 69 overall. Koulibaly, a 75 rating and probably good enough to be a squad rotational player for us. Christian Ward went to Nashville and an MLS loan spell to reach a 66 rating. Sebastian Bishop still sitting in our youth academy because he was not old enough to get promoted to the first team, so he's at a 60 overall. But a couple of youth academy finds are striker Fab Gabon is Teko Sissoko. The 58 overall, it actually starts as a right winger, which isn't too dissimilar to how Aubameyang began his career, but he's got 72 to 94 potential. Simon Kowalczyk will fill in as our finding from Poland. He's got massive potential with 90 to 94, but I don't know if he'll ever actually feature for us because he's so young. And on the center back front from Germany, we found Maximilian Schulz. The left footer has 91 to 94 potential. While we're on the topic of young players, I did want to showcase Marco Reus's regen. He's retiring at the end of season 2, and this is his regen. Gabriel Müller, a 73 rated left-footed talent from Inter Miami. But on the opposite spectrum, we've got some older players. Alexander Meyer is leaving the club on a pre-contract to USG, and Pascal Gross actually retiring, which is very interesting considering he's coming off a fantastic year on the assist front. I guess he'll be going out while he's ahead. Season 3 is going to be an important one for us. We weren't far off in the Bundesliga standings last year, and fixture-wise in the Champions League, we're not missing much. So I think the board is going to expect us to win the Pokal, win the league, and now win the Champions League. Another rise to our transfer budget up to 138 million, and already we've received an incoming offer for Niklas Süle. Has suffered some injury problems in this save, and I think it's about time for him to move on. He'll join Manchester City as we receive 29.5 million as part of this transfer. Another big decision with Gio Reyna finally leaving the club to return back to the Premier League. Obviously, his loan spell at Nottingham Forest didn't go super well, but I think Brentford could be a better fit for him. It's important that we're strategic with our incoming signings and improve in the right areas. First off is Antonio Silva, the talented Portuguese center back who's still playing for Benfica. He's known for his intelligence, composure on the ball, and physical strength, making his debut for Benfica in 2022 and quickly becoming a key player for the club. He's had standout performances in the Champions League, and that's drawn a lot of attention from other clubs in Europe. I don't think he'll be staying at Benfica for as long as he has so far in this rebuild, so it's time for him to move on. We'll spend 30 million as part of this transfer, a huge deal considering his valuation is at 44.5 million, and he'll quickly become a key player in this Dortmund team. Next up, we've got Alberto Molero, who was born in the Canary Islands and is featuring for Las Palmas. He's known for his dribbling, creativity, and vision, making his first team debut in 2021. And at just a teenager, he became a key player in Las Palmas' push for promotion to La Liga. Molero excels in tight spaces, creating chances with his precise passing and agility. He's represented Spain at youth levels and is probably one of the nation's brightest prospects. I think he can be versatile enough to feature on the left side, but also centrally as kind of a squad rotational player for Julian Brandt. I know 50 million is a lot to be spending for a squad rotational player, but at season 3, I'm not so picky about the transfer fees. We're gonna add some goalkeeper depth with a free agent signing in Stefan Ortega. He was a big part of Manchester City as their backup to Ederson, and he has a lengthy history in the Bundesliga, featuring for Arminia Bielefeld and helping them get promotion in 2020. Of course, Kobel is always going to be our starting goalkeeper, but it's good to have a player of his caliber in case there is an injury or suspension. We've got Mainz to kick off our Bundesliga campaign, and this is our starting 11. All of our players well into the 80s for their rating, and a few creeping up into 90 like Kobel and Schlotterbeck not far off. We'll pick up the victory against Mainz and continuing our season with some really good form, not losing very many matches, and even going undefeated all the way up through November, just losing that one game as we embark into the January transfer window. No surprise, as we are top of the Bundesliga standings, equal with Leverkusen points-wise. Still in the DFB-Pokal with another quarterfinal matchup, this time against Düsseldorf. And finally, we have guaranteed our promotion to the knockout stages of the Champions League, where we will finish second in the league phase of the competition. 9 through 16 will see some surprises as there are some big clubs that were left out of the mix. No changes are needed to our starting 11 as Silva has taken over at the right center back position. We've got West Ham, who I'm currently doing a career mode with as our round of 16 opponents. They still have Nicholas Füllkrug at the club. He's down to a 79 rating, but still a lethal striker. We end up winning the first leg 4-1, and the second leg ends up 2-1 in our favor. 6-2 on aggregate puts us through to the quarterfinals against Benfica. And Florentino is one of the few high potential players remaining at the club. We end up winning the first match 1-0. Second leg goes 2-1 in our favor. 3-1 on aggregate pushes us through to the semifinals against Liverpool, and it seems like we're cursed. Endrick is just following us everywhere as he's transferred to Anfield. He scored a first-minute goal to help lift Liverpool to a 2-1 victory in the first leg. So this is the match where we'll be looking to get our revenge on Endrick. We will be without Daniel Malin as he picked up an injury in March and is still out of action. So Brandt will shift out wide to right mid. Malero will shift to center attacking mid. It's a great scene for this Champions League semi-final. We've been great in form, but we need to be getting results at the right times. I think that has been where we've struggled so far in this rebuild, but this is our chance to redeem ourselves as Emre Can once again featuring against the club that he has played for. But Solskjaer will find Endrick a good save from Kobel and able to recollect that one. As we're shortly before the halftime break, it is going to be Gutierrez who finds Guirassy, playing it through to Adeyemi. I like that chance, and I think that's one where we've got to convert it. He gets another opportunity here in the 83rd minute, but Mamardashvili with a clutch stop. It's going to be Jan Kuto who picks out a perfect pass to Bayer, but just too heavy of a touch. We were unlucky on so many occasions not to force extra time in this one, but Liverpool through to the Champions League final, and we once again see defeat. There wasn't long left in the season now as we finish up April and head into May. We do sit top of the Bundesliga standings, so we will see one more trophy celebration. Fortunate that we weren't able to celebrate this one at home, but we'll be able to see these cool white kits in action as Emre Can finally able to lift a Bundesliga title for Dortmund after a decade that they had been unable to win this competition. Here's how the middle of the pack ended up finishing with Mainz in the relegation playoffs. The relegated clubs are going to be Düsseldorf and Hannover. Augsburg and Schalke will see promotion to the Bundesliga. Makes me kind of want to keep this save and maybe load it up as a live stream. Let me know if you guys are interested in that idea. But it's going to be Mainz who keep their spot in the Bundesliga as they defeat Darmstadt in the promotion playoff. The Pokal was won by us once again, so we were very good in that competition. Manchester United defeating Juventus in the Super Cup. Liverpool get the win against United in the Champions League final. PSV defeat Antwerp in the Europa League, and the Conference League going to Panathinaikos. This was the season where Guirassy broke through. 40 goals from 50 appearances is absolutely ridiculous. He was by far the Bundesliga top goal scorer and putting up numbers similar to what he did last season in real life with Stuttgart. He was the only Dortmund player in the top 10 for us. Julian Brandt, once again, the top assist maker for us. He ranked outside of the top 5 as Guirassy apparently had more Bundesliga assists, but Brandt will feature at the number 8 spot, with Alexander Nubel returning to Bayern from his loan spell and was equal with Kobel and Ramiro for the most Bundesliga clean sheets. Awesome to see that one of our players will get the Bundesliga Player of the Tournament award, and we get a nice cool cinematic animation here as well. Not sure if this is the same one that they had last year, but I am a fan of the fact that you can see players from outside of your own club winning this award through the social media ticker on the main screen. Once again, a testament that sending out your young players on loan is the way to go. Semi picked up a huge growth in his overall, up to an 82 while at Napoli on loan. We'll update you on our youth academy player, Sissoko at a 63 overall. Sebastian Bishop developing very nicely up to a 71. Maximilian Schultz, unable to secure a loan spell for him, is stuck at a 54. Christian Ward, slow but steady growth, was at Coventry City and is now up to a 70 rating. Sven Schneider, mid-70s in his rating, and the regen of Lukas Piszczek is at a 55 overall and will be ready for first team action next year. But I appreciate y'all being patient while I recorded this first realistic rebuild. Would love to hear some other team suggestions in the comments section for what you want to see next.